Welcome back to Quantum Health Transformation. I'm Karen Holton, and this is my program that I have downstepped from some rather abstract experiences, spiritual experiences, and it's taken me a number of years to actually get to the point where I could actually do each step on my own. And so this is the conclusion and the wrap-up to the workshop series. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've sure enjoyed making it. I didn't realize it was going to take me just over a year to produce all the videos and write all the material, but it did, and it is what it is, and it's out there now. I'm just going to run over basically what the 9 steps are. I started with step 9, black. You have a black chakra. Actually, it's not really black, but it's symbolized by the color black. It's actually just below your feet. And I thought that would be a good base point to start and jump off from. And so I call it Introduction to Nubby Ball and Light-Dark Integration. And what it is introduction to a little tool, and this is the graphic for my little tool, that basically shows you ways of looking at everything and everybody as a nubby ball. And so what we have are opinions or thoughts or beliefs that we have about any person, place, or thing or concept. We can plot the two opposites as though they are the poles, and then recognize that there's infinite number of nubs on a ball. And we're only privy to a couple of those, but it doesn't mean the rest don't also exist. And the other part about the nubby ball is once we understand the true nature of ourselves and the world around us, we are able to control ways that we're contributing to the negativity. For instance, we no longer are able to scapegoat other people. We are no longer able to use people as our whipping boys. We're no longer able to say, that's the problem, it's over there. That person has the problem. I don't like this about that person or that place, or that concept is wrong. Instead, we see things more inclusively, and we see things as being as they truly are. Many-sided and very complex. And it all depends. It all depends. Whether you might have the same thing happen and it might be positive, and it also could be perceived as negative. It all depends. Everything depends. But until we can see our world like that, we're not going to do the kind of internal work that needs to be done. We've got an air show or something they're practicing for out there, so hopefully you can still hear me, because I want to just keep going with this. So anyway, the other thing about the nubby ball concept is it helps you to get a grip on your dark side. And people might go, oh, I don't really have a dark side, I'm a good person. Yeah, you are, but we all have a dark side. And of course we don't look at it because it's disturbing to us. So there are ways and some methods in this in the primer and in the live video for step 9 that actually help you to take a look at your whole self. And once you get an idea of what you are like and what you are capable of, it's really difficult to project that onto others. And so we start having more compassion and more love for each other. And so this is a really fundamental place to start. Then after that, we went to step 8, red. And I went into grounding techniques and ways of discovering new belief systems. Grounding is really important. Grounding is a way that we really connect with Mother Earth, and we really connect with each other. And it takes us out of the global economic, political construct, and puts us back in the true reality. The true reality is that we are a being on this planet, surrounded by other beings and other living things, and some things that we don't consider living that actually are, even though they don't have brains. Crystals are an example. Okay, water's an example. air, we get prana from the air. There's so many wonderful, wonderful things that we can connect with if we just understand, ground, and start to understand that we can develop some new core belief systems. Then we went into step 7, orange, where we further developed these core belief systems, and we took a look at what it means to be male or female. We took a look at the dichotomies, the black, white, the good, the evil, the male, the female, the way that we've been set up to think within our brains, our basic schemata, and ways of expanding that again. And now that you've got your Nubby Ball tool, it's easier to use that in step 7. I also talk about transgender issues in this step. A lot is known about gays and gay rights and ways of being gay, but not too much is really understood about the transgender paradigm. And so, although I'm not an expert on this subject, I have put my 2 cents worth in, because many, many, many people are now coming out as transgender. And you could argue it's due to their the way they were reared as children. You could say it's to do with chemicals that they were exposed to in utero. I mean, there's tons of reasons why people are transgender, and not to mention just personal choice or whatever feels natural to people. And so this is happening more and more, and actually I would expect this to happen, because as we move out of a dichotomy and into more of a Nubby Ball situation, there is less polar ends of male and female. And also I've talked about ways that we can take a look at, include in our ways of being and knowing attributes that we were taught were off limits because of our gender, and incorporating the strengths from the male and the female, and we become a more integrated person. So in step 9, we learn to integrate our light and our dark selves, and to find you end up basically walking like 2 brothers side by side, and you're able to get the gifts and the talents and the power that comes from both once you get a handle on that, okay? So with the female and the male is the same thing. Even one side of our body is governed by male energy, the other side by female energy. Well, by integrating those 2 energies, we actually become a much happier, much more integrated individual. Okay, and then after that there was step 6, yellow, detoxify and the power of emotion. This is really important step for caring for the temple body, because I talk about ways that we are inadvertently poisoning ourselves, and we need to take responsibility for what we wear and what we consume and what we put in our body and on our bodies and expose our bodies to, and ways that we poison ourselves externally. There's another video on how we poison ourselves internally. And then there's another video on how we poison ourselves emotionally. And I teach you how to detoxify on each of those levels, and how to use the power of emotion appropriately so that you can actually take those emotions that you would want to normally just push away from yourselves and disidentify with or refuse from having, and actually make them work for you. Step 5, green, is about food as medicine and another source of universal love energy. Food is so, so important, but it's also important for you to understand what is food, what really is food, and what's fake food. And the fake food is killing people and making them insane. And you need to know the difference, because if you don't know the difference, how are you going to make intelligent choices and take good care of your temple body? Next step is blue, understanding the power of heuristics and speaking your truth. Speaking your truth, you can't do that until you actually grow your own truth, or mine or harvest your own truth. And the way you can do that is by understanding heuristics. And heuristics is basically just the feedback system that's built into everyday life that gives us messages that about how we're doing or where we're going or what we're all about. And only by really taking a look at that feedback system and finding ways of changing that feedback system so we're getting the right kind of feedback can we actually start identifying and then speaking our truth. Moving into step 3, indigo is understanding and using perception within the construct, because we all live in the construct. So, I mean, it's great to have your mind and awareness and your spirituality outside of the construct, but every day we have to face people who are mainstream. We live in a mainstream world, and we live in a society that's largely governed and directed by the military-industrial complex. So how can we, within that construct, have our own construct that works for us? And in that way we can manifest some change. And seeing is believing is about switching over from the old way, which said, well, until I see it and I can touch it, I ain't going to believe it. Instead of doing that, going, seeing it in here, believing it's possible, and then bringing that into your life. And then this dovetails into step 2, Violet, integration with higher selves. What does that mean? What are examples of our higher selves, and how can we put them to work for us by, instead of facing them with fear, facing them with loving and acceptance, because they're all a part of who we really are. Okay? And then, of course, step 1, white, is this little angel I have on here, state of bliss and spiritual exercises. And what that does is helps to strengthen your the personal ecology of your awareness, and also how to feed into a larger growing system of goodness and kindness and love that is actually expanding at an accelerated rate right now, and is replacing the old paradigms and the old systems that are crashing all around. And you know, I know it looks pretty hopeless when you watch a bunch of material about the military-industrial complex, but trust me, it's fallen apart. It's fallen apart right now. It's been falling apart for a long time. I mean, look at bureaucracy. Come on. It's strangling itself. We don't need to do anything. We just need to step into a new way of being, doing, and thinking, where we take really good care of ourselves and each other, and the rest takes care of itself. So this is sort of the conclusion of my 9-step process. I'll be branching off into other areas now, but I wanted to stick with this program until I completed it, because it's all the essentials. I may have left some things out, but I don't think so. I follow this program myself. I have lost 178 pounds since my top weight. I have a little video also called Seeing is Believing on my website that you can watch. Because until you see the struggle that I went through in my life and what I did to myself to try to lose weight, because I wasn't liberated by this new understanding of reality, it was unbelievable. And I didn't lose weight till I was like 50 years old. And but I kept it off now for almost 10 years because I'm almost 60. And I'm really happy with my new body, and oh my goodness, it performs in ways I never dreamed possible. And the more I love it, the more it loves me. I have new relationships with everybody, including family and those closest to me, that are very satisfying and very delicious. And I just wish you could have the same. You don't need to have strife and all that in your life. You can get along with pretty much everybody. And the people that you don't really get along with, or people that don't have your best interests at heart, just kind of go away, and life becomes very, very sweet. And I want you to have a taste of that sweetness, and I want you to learn how to manifest for yourself everything that your heart desires. And I want you to understand yourself and understand the world, and understand that the big changes that are happening right now are growing pains, and you're going to be okay. You really are. We're all okay. And on some level, no matter what we've had happen to us, the most horrible experiences in life don't really touch the true essence of who we are. And those things just fall away and get forgotten as we replace them with something beautiful. And so all of this program is based on harm reduction, which means you start where you're at right now. You don't have to be anybody different. But you just bring some healthful practices in. You start stretching a little bit. You start spending some time in nature. And you start thinking about things a little bit differently. And the rest takes care of itself. There is no shortage of divine, tender mercy. And divine... Sorry, I cry in every video I make. And I can't do anything about it. So I just do it anyway, okay? There is so much divine, tender mercy. And it's here. And it's not going anywhere, and you're in good hands, and you're well taken care of, just like me, because I'm no more special than you are. I'm no more
more wonderful or smart or talented than you are.
But I followed the steps as they were given to me, and they work, and I want you to have a happy life too. So even if you don't follow by 100% into everything I have said in these steps, that's okay. Find your own way. Dance to your own music. Anything but staying asleep, thinking that the old construct is going to take care of you. Wake up. Smell the freedom. Taste the love. I want you there with me and the rest of us. There are thousands, probably millions of us. We are not just a few isolated people or a fringe element or anything like that. There are millions of us. Join us. Be part of something really wonderful that's really making a difference. You're going to sleep better. Your food is going to taste better. You're going to laugh more. And your life is going to be wonderful. And on top of all of that, again, I want to say I'm proud of you. I know you're doing your best. And you're awesome. And I love you so much. Take care.